Everything is not um, textbook. A lot of things are common sense in the world if you pay attention. That's why I said common sense is really chosen sense. This is exactly why I said that. Common sense is in fact chosen sense. Everyone does not possess it, so it's not a common thing. You know, uh, when you say things are chosen, certain people are chosen to see certain things. Certain people are based in a higher mind state. They're encoded with a higher mindset. They are instilled or installed with a higher mindset. Right? All things are physical. Everything is physical. Spiritual is physical. Soul is physical. The mind is physical because they all have a physical output. Don't tell me that you are spiritual, right? Because you tell me you're spiritual, what you're saying is you're not really in tune with the things of this world. That's what people usually mean when they say they're spiritual, right? Which is a cute little word, you know. And I said it meant special rituals, right? You vibrate, or what you think you do, you vibrate on a special frequency, something that's beyond the physical. There's nothing beyond the physical. Everything is in tune with your physical. If you see a light, if you feel something, if you are, if a feeling comes over that you can't quite see, that's physical. You can't describe anything to me. You can't describe what a spiritual is unless you use physical attributes. So that means what you're calling spiritual is in fact physical. Now, certain things can't be picked up to the naked eye, but doesn't mean it's not physical. If it touches your senses, your nerve endings, in some way, shape, or form, then it's physical. They make physical contact with you. I said to people, I said, air. You would say air can't be seen, yet it is physical. It is a physical form. It has to be in a physical form in order for you to be able to breathe it in. All right? It has to be in a physical form. It's not in a dense form, but it is physical. Light is physical. All of these things are physical, coming from less dense states. You should have understood this when they talked about all of these so-called particles that were under atoms, under molecules and quarks, bias, the things you couldn't see. They have this big machine that keeps smashing atoms. I believe it's somewhere in I think it's either in England or somewhere, or I forget where it's at, or in America, I don't know. But it smashes atoms, constantly seeing what's under or beneath the atom. And they're going to constantly keep discovering and seeing smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller molecules. They just can't be seen, right? It's the same principle or the same mindset of God, Amen, the hidden one, the one who can't be seen, right? I read something interesting. When people define physical as something that can be seen, it's funny because people are now trying to debunk the whole Nibiru um, story or the account of Nibiru. The moving planet that the Sumerians talked about. I read in Sunday's paper where this guy, I think he was a black man too. Funny how they use a black man to do this. He's debunking Nibiru. He's trying to debunk Nibiru, right? I read a little bit of the article and I found it funny because they're saying that this what the Sumerians talked about, or what they saw, whatever they talked about, the moving planet, it wasn't real because they can't see it. Their explanation was they couldn't see it, right? Because they said the Sumerians didn't speak about Uranus, and Uranus was discovered somewhere around the 1800s, somewhere, or the 1700s, somewhere around that time. That when their scientists first saw Uranus, right? However, Uranus is in the solar system. The Sumerians said that Nibiru is not in the solar system. It is a moving planet. It is outside the solar system. So therefore, it can't be seen. If a planet is constantly moving, then it means it can't be seen. Move from one point to another. It's not in your eye range. But it is there. These people described it. You can't describe something that's not there. Something that, you can say certain things come into just your imagination, but that means you have to have an image of it. If you describe spirits, if you describe soul, if you describe wind, air, whatever, you have some sort of contact with it. That means it's physical. People come with this whole nonsense of spirituality, and because it sounds deep and it sounds heavy, right? But your so-called spiritual output, what I see how you act on this level, tells me everything about your so-called spirituality or where your mind is at when I see how you act on this level. I have people tell me the spiritual people are the funniest because they always say, "Oh, brother, I'm spiritual. I'm this, that, and the third, and I'm just so far removed from this physical world and this physical realm." But you're doing physical things. What are you talking about? You eating, you sleeping, you going to the bathroom, you're putting clothes on. So you're doing physical things. You're doing all the things that are attributed to what is physical. See, people, the problem with it is that people don't think of physical things as special things, being able to have physical attributes, to execute physical attributes. They don't see it as a special thing. You're taught in the world of mysticism that unseen things that you're not privy to, are special, are beyond you, right? You're taught this all the time. But your output of these things, the spiritual world, the soul, and the mind, none of this means anything without a physical output. I told somebody before, I said God is a physical being. He lives in the physical world. He walks in physical space. Though he's not as dense as us, he is more advanced than us. A light being, a fire being, a pure light being. In physical form, however, he is in fact physical. We are in a dense state. Right? Why are we in a dense state? Because all of the molecules that go into making up our molecular structure are dense. They're made of what? Metals, rocks, and all kinds of heavy matter. That's why everything is dense. So we think that the more dense something is, lead, carbon, all of these things, the more gold, all of the dense metals here that go into making us up, right? That go into making up our physical form, because we are in a dense place to keep us solid. We think that that's nothing special. But a thought went into that. The more you get out of the state of this density state, this heavy molecular structure, the lighter you become, right? I said our people were by nature, before we got into this heavy molecular state, we are solar beings. And I made a statement on Facebook today. I said that your humans are spiritual beings. Now, I know I said before there's no such thing as a spiritual. When I said that, I'm saying I was talking about in reference to the almond beings. Because spirit, or what you refer to as spirit, is an energy or force that is made up of water and made up of air. Spirit, or when you see ghosts and things of that nature, right, is vapor, right? Apparitions of vapor, water vapor, steam, right? Moving in a solar beam state. What do I mean by that? I mean that because your humans were made in water, it would make sense that their energy, their power, the essence of them would be water, right? Spirit. It is the artificial element or the artificial version of a soul. That spirit that moves throughout those chakra points in the human animal are simulated or artificial version of the solar plex, right? You have a solar plex, and they have a lunar plex, or what they call a chakra points. Those are all plexes. Same way you have a complex. What is a complex? A plex is a building or a structure or a standing structure. They show you that chakra points are based in a standard structured order. That's a plex. That's really a lunar plex, or what they call chakra points to that plex, right? And they are inhabited by a spiritual being or form of life, which is, again, water and air. And it carries a portion of fire to it, because water has fire in it as a natural element, a piece of a natural element. That goes into the story of, or the account of, God breathing life into man and he becoming a living soul or a living spirit, right? He had water moving through him. Spirit. You have soul. Almond beings, so-called black race, have soul, solar plex moving through you, a soul force, fire and light, which gives your hair rise and levitational lift. These are all physical attributes. All physical attributes. This is what makes us different. This is what makes our body chemistry different. Right? All of this makes us, you talk about the physical plane, they're all physical planes. There's no such thing as a physical plane. Every plane is a physical plane. Every dimension is physical. Your mind, your mental state, or your fourth dimension, all that's physical. Right? It's all physical. Denser states are physical. I mean, less dense states are physical state, but they're still physical. They still have an order. They still have a compound. They are still structured. Anything that's structured, if your thoughts are structured, right, they're physical. Anything that's physical has a structured, follows a structured order, meaning that it was thought into that essence or thought into that order or in that structure. It's physical. It has physical workings. What dictates the physical? It works. It works in a physical form. It sends, receives, pulls, everything. So that's physical. They teach you that this dense state is just a physical state. That's wrong, right? Because that, what do they say? They teach you, the elders, they would teach us that so above, so below. So if below is physical, then that means what? Above is physical. So there's no such thing as a physical plane, a physical plane. They're all physical planes. Right? Right? They're all physical planes. We need to understand this as we are evolving in a physical realm. Because there's no such thing as an evolution mentally without an evolution physically. There's no such thing. Don't say that you've evolved mentally and you're still doing the same things. That's why we're going to be very focused on the people we let into the state of mental. Because we got a lot of people that come around us and tell us that they evolved mentally because they sitting up here regurgitating some things they might have heard me say, right? But then you find out there's not, the essence of them is still the same. It's still on that lower state. Right? They still adopted the ways of the lower life forms. Right? They have not made a real mental connection with anything. Because a true mental connection with something means change. That's why I tell people, stop coming around me telling me about this bright race this and the bright race that and just regurgitating it and trying to sound heavy and cool when you're not really trying to make a change in your life. I look at you like you're stupid. There has to be a physical change to mirror the mental one. If there is no physical change to mirror the mental one, then you're lying. You're full of it. Stop lying to yourself. Right? Because you're always going to show what level you are on. Right? People can literally see the change in you physically, by the light in your face. You've ever heard people say, "Oh, if that brother got or that sister got a light on their face and whatnot," and they just really, they'll say things like spiritual, they're soulful people. It's just something, they otherworldly and stuff like that. That starts to resonate in you physically because that higher connection, that higher physical connection, is coming into this dense physical connection to make a connection with you, right? And it's going to change you. It's going to alter you. It's going to alter your physical appearance. You'll be able to see certain things. You'll find yourself shifting, right? You'll find yourself shifting. Your looks will change. Your looks will start to change and evolve, right, toward that high frequency state, or for the less dense, right? That'll take place if you are in tune and lined up on all physical levels, on all physical states. See, this blows the minds of the people, like I said, because we tend to think, I'm like I said, people put this face on, they tell you how spiritual. That, like I said, that's just a game that your religious groups and all of them play, where they want to act as though the physical world doesn't matter. It's the next world, or the spiritual world, this other world where nothing's physical, everything is just spirit form and all this lies and nonsense. Now, what they were attempting to do, they were attempting to explain, right, that less dense state. They were attempting to explain that less dense state where these elements are missing. They're not as solid, right? They're not as solid. Same way when you get to the end, when you go up under atoms and you get to the less denser molecules, quarks and zells and biats and all these other less dense molecules, right? That's the same way that happens when you go in beyond these dimensions and whatnot, where things are no longer as solid as they appeared in this dense state. They get less and less dense. When they say when you go out into space, right, they say you'll float, you're less dense, right? It's the same principle. You're still in physical form. You're less dense, right? Your molecular structure starts to change. You no longer have, your matter is no longer as dense as it was in this earth realm. The gravitational pull is off, right? There comes a levitational lift. That's why you see people, their flight simulators, astronauts going in there, they floating all over the place and whatnot. What is absent in that gravitational pull? What's absent in the gravitational pull? Water. Water is absent in the gravitational pull. Water acts as a magnet to keep you pulled to the Earth's surface. Water acts as that magnet, right? The molecules in your body, the iron in your body, acts as a magnet to keep you pulled to the Earth, right? But then, like I said, as you start to get less dense or go into a state of when you're less dense and you're traveling toward higher dimensions and you're not carrying as much weight anymore, then things start to speed up. Molecules start to speed up. These things come about as we are in a state of evolution. These things come about as we are in a state of evolution, as we're moving forward. We are in a state of evolution right now. A state of mental evolution, physical evolution, right? And solar evolution. We are in that state of solar evolution because as we are moving forward, as we are evolving, as we are realizing that all of these elements that go into making us up, it's one force, it's one state, it's all physical. It's all physical. I want to show you the story about Superman, how he was able to travel in his physical body, right? Live longer, do the things he did, because obviously at a certain point, in which we are now reaching it in this broadcast, we start to figure out that everything is physical, right? We start to figure out that everything is physical. That means that it's all together. It's all in one frame. That we're supposed to be moving as a three-force being. What do I mean by a three-force being? We're supposed to be moving as physical, or what I refer to as material beings, mental beings, and solar beings. We're supposed to be moving on all three levels, right? That is the electrified state. That is the electrified state. Electricity, electricity, the electrified states. The three states or the three dimensions in which we're supposed to be moving and evolving. Mental state, physical state, and solar state. Till we move to the fourth state, right? Till we move to the fourth state. This is where these elements that go into making us up start to speed up, and it becomes less dense. It's still these same states all over again. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? All in threes. Why do they come out in threes? Because it's still soul, it's still mind, and it's still body. And as we move to the fourth dimension, it's soul, mind, and body again in less dense states, right? Other elements and capabilities start to become clear to us. They start to become visible to us as we move to these higher states, right? They start to become more advanced to us as we're moving to these higher states. See, a lot of people go into trying to keep you in a physical mindset, right? A dense mindset where there's no change. But we advocated change in the state of Mentel because we understood that these three things must change in order for us to make a full change. We have to change physically or materially, as I say, mentally, physically, mentally, and soulfully, not spiritually, right? The spiritual change is on the human race. This is why, and they're trying to make that spiritual change. Some of them, your elite, they're trying to make the spiritual change. That's what they were trying to do when they went back to their roots. When they went back to India in the 60s, and they started the whole thing because we sit up here and we learned the whole thing about meditation and the chakra points and all this stuff in the 60s because we got that from the East Indians through the white man. When he went back to his origin, and they were going over there to India, and they started with the yoga and the Sanskrit and the studying of the meditation, all this other transcendental meditation. They were doing all that because they were trying to lift their spirit. They were trying to lift their spirit chakras and all that spirit. They were trying to go into that spiritual lift because they understood that they were spiritual beings, and they are spiritual beings, which is still physical, submental. They are spiritual beings. We are solar beings. We are different. Our light travels upward and out. Theirs stays on this level. Ours continues. Right? This is why it came out in us physically, why we don't look like everybody else, why our hair is different, why our skin is different. It came out in us in the physical form, which goes to show you. It goes to show you that we are those solar beings. We can't be spiritual beings. When they try to get us to perform spiritual practices, it is actually the humans trying to get us to follow their everyday rituals. Spiritual practices are human everyday rituals. Okay? They're human everyday rituals. what they consider to be special rituals, the things we took to be special. Because, like I said, when our people step here and they're talking about spirituality, right? Spirituality, they're talking about the rituals of the human race. The special rituals, meditation, prayer, things like that. Those are the things of the humans. Those are the things that keep you in a state of submission, right? Trying to master themselves. And we, because we thought we were like these people, we fell under these things. We start believing we had chakra points. We start believing that we had spirits. We start believing that we were spiritual beings. No. We are solar beings. We are moved by a whole totally different code of conduct and principle. Totally separate. And I will be coming out with a book about that. About the solar intelligent beings. You understand that? We will be coming out with a book about that. How we move on a solar plex. Right? How our pilot light is lit differently. It is lit by a bright light or a fire. This is what they're trying to channel into. Right? They move by water. They move fluidly. Right? They move by fluid. By air. Right? You see the Japanese when they practice the Tai Chi. Right? Where they do fluid motions. Your humans love to be in water. They love to swim. Because they come from the water. Their essence, their energy, that which goes into making them up, is water. Right? They give in to that water. They are connected to the moon. The lunar cycles, as Dr. York used to refer to them as the lunar cycles. And he would refer to us as being ones of the solar cycle. Right? That went on to prove that our people, right? That went on to prove that our people were solar beings. Those who possess soul. We were not the same. Right? So as we have an ultra standing of it, we're starting to move on. This is my hope within the state of Mental when we acknowledge this intelligence of Mentellect, of who we truly are as solar beings. Right? Some of our people are going to still hold on to the chakra points, and they're going to still hold on to the African thing and all of this stuff. They'll still hold on to it because they've been conned into being people of the land. They've been conned into making themselves over into a dense people, right? A terrestrial people, a people that were concerned with the terrain to where they feel they come from it when they are of it. They think of themselves as human, right? But quite the contrary. We do things beyond physical, beyond the expectation of what humans do. We move faster, we run faster, we jump faster, we do things beyond the human. That can only be possible with another element added in. That's a totally different element coursing through our veins. And that element is fire. Soul, solar plex, all physical. It all comes in our output. Don't tell me that you're spiritual because all that comes out to be is physical. Right? When you tell me you're spiritual, you're telling me you're in tune with the human. That's what you're talking about. You're in tune with how they meditate, how they pray, and their rituals. You're in tune with that. Because 9 times out of 10, you have their blood coursing through your veins, strong, to where you are no longer connected to that solar state. Right? You're no longer connected to that physical solar state. Right? They did something. Your scientists, the people that came up with the Kirlian photography, they could tell. They could look at the people. They could look at people and tell what kind of energy or light, right, is going through them. Right? They could tell. They could tell based on the light that goes through your body what race you are, who you come from. All that. They can tell that, right? They know you got certain objects that can pick up the heat of someone's body. You know they can read the heat and the temperature off of your body, and they can tell whether you're a so-called black man or black woman or Caucasian or whatever. They can tell what race you are based on the heat of your body, the temperature, the light it puts off, the energy. They can tell. How is that possible if we all the same? We carry a different energy, a different heat to our body. Don't let them lie to us and say that we don't. It's all physical. It can all be picked up. See, when they come with these machines like the Kirlian photography and things like that, like when they pick up these things, they can tell you, right? They can tell you, we all the same, but quite the contrary. Physically, that tells you the truth of who we are, that we are different from everybody else. Physically, you can see it. There's a reason for that. So we obviously have to get to the core of who we are based on that physical difference. Because based on the physical difference, that'll tell us where we're supposed to be going in the future. A lot of our people don't deal with that, right? Yeah, I heard Paul Mooney, he sat up here and said that we all the same, right? He said that black, white, we all the same people because, our blood been mixed down. Maybe he's the same. He's the same. But the person who's indifferent to all of this, the person who's indifferent to the race thing, black, white, and all this other stuff, they're not the same, right? This back and forth proves that these people are the same. It's a physical interaction, right? We're going back and forth physically with people, right? So that dictates that, all the things that we thought were on a higher level, right? All the spiritual talk, all of the, esoteric talk, right? It had a bottom to it. It had a bottom to it. It had a balanced bottom to it. So above, so below. We as people are supposed to be travelers of all these states and not supposed to be connected to any of them. See, because just as you sit up here and you say that, you're not physical, you're spiritual, or whatever you say you claim to be, that's something that's on a higher level physically, the thing you'll always find in these higher states, if you are connected to them, that they are all the same. You meet the same type of people on these states, in these states, in the future. That's why it says, the more things seem like they change, the more they remain the same, because it's the same people traveling these same states in one way, shape, or form. They still travel in these same states, and they rest in these dense states, right? Because they're graduating slowly, but they're moving on to higher dimensions, higher time frames. Whether this person, for example, right, was a racist, right, and the 1830s, 1840s, whatever, 1700s, his spirit is traveling to seek refuge or to house a physical body on this physical realm or this dense state. So he's traveling in time to house a physical body. And those same physical, spiritual beings of the human race always take on someone who vibrates on that dense frequency or that dense state. Same way, when I said the almond beings, when we pass off of the planet, we're looking to move forward, and we're constantly traveling in our own genetics to take on the body. So is as the solar beings, so are your spiritual beings. They're looking to take on a physical form, right? The only way it's possible for them to take on a physical form is if they are physical, but in a less dense state. They can house a body. If you can walk into something physically, if you can walk into a body, then you are physical. You are just physical in a dense state. Whether it is water, vapor, right? It is still a formed state, right? Whether it is fire, light, it is still a formed state. People always say, oh, I saw a ghost or an apparition or a spirit or a bright light, but that light is always in a formed order, right? It is always in a formed order to inhabit a physical shell. like getting in a car, like getting in something to travel through a dense state. Right? That's real. They attract to dense or whoever's on that level that they're looking to occupy, your spiritual beings or your water or uh, um your water beings, or what referred to as the evaporated ones. They are constantly looking to go into a physical form in a less dense state. That's your possessions, your apparitions, your so-called ghosts you see moving all throughout place. That's real, right? That's real. Steam, because this planet is what? Made of, first and foremost, what? Water, right? So any force or light energy that's moving through the planet that was made here on the planet in water is going to take on a mist or a water vaporized uh, um, dense form, right? It'll go through walls, things like that, because it's less dense, but you can still see it. Your optic nerve is picking up that image. You're seeing it. So it is possible for these beings to travel and take up residence in a body, in a physical form. Just as it is possible for a solar being to move on a higher state and taking on bodies in a physical form and going back and forth and leaving outside this atmosphere. Because what does heat do? Heat does what? It rises. What does water do? It settles. Simple. Heat rises and will continue to rise. Light, fire, it's all the same thing. It rises. Right? Water settles. It falls down. Doesn't come up, falls down. Right? Rushes. When I talked about the solar energy or the solar beings or the Amen beings, those light beings coming in physical form to this dense state, they take on physical form and body. I said that they are physical as well. Right? Somebody thought when I talked about physical, they figured that, physical beings are just human beings. No. I said Amen came in physical form as a man. Right? And if you come as a solar being, if you are a solar being, then obviously you're going to come out looking like what is referred to as a black man or a black woman. You're going to come out with hair that's growing in the air. You're going to come out as electrified beings because your hair and everything will be given rays. So you're going to have a physical output of being a solar being, just as you'll have a physical output of being a spiritual being or a water being. You would look like the humans. You would have hair falling down in front of your face. You would have pale skin. You would resemble that of a fluid, watery-like looking being. And you would look at your Amen beings, your so-called black race, and they had that reddish-brown skin and hair raised up in the air. You took on the look of an electrified solar being. That's how you would look in physical form. Your Caucasians, your Asians, and all these people, they look like water beings. Their hair lays down like that because it looks as though they've been in water. When children come out of the womb of the mother, their hair is straight and it's down in their face like they've been in water because they've been in the amniotic sac. And then, as they start to breathe, as those genetics start to kick in, as that solar connection happens, their hair starts to grow upward, out naturally. Right? You are the physical output of those solar beings. You are the physical output. Your hair, your skin, the reddish brown, the hair raising up. The heat in your hair. When you touch your natural hair, it has heat in it. You can feel the heat. You could touch their hair and it'll feel like you're going straight to the scalp. It's like you're touching water. You'll touch straight onto their scalp. Right? Their skin has a jello-y type of feel to it. Liquidy. Right? This is the physical output. All things are physical. All things are physical. You are not going to escape the physical realm, right? When these things are not just defined by um, matter or dense forms of matter. No. Your fire is matter. Your water is matter. Your air is matter. It's all matter. It's all material. That was the problem. People were defining physical state by these dense things like your carbon and your dense metals and things like that. They were defining it by these dense molecules. They were defining what was physical by that. They didn't take into account the things that were not able to be that were not dense, that did not have weight that weight like those the carbon and the metals and things like that. But they were still physical. They were still physical, right? Fire can burn you. It can be lifted, right? It can rise. Water can drown you. It can weigh you down, right? But you can put your hand through water. You can run your hand through fire. You can't run your hand through carbon and metal and things like that because they're dense, but they're all still physical. Yes? Call and weigh in. Call and weigh in on this. Questions, comments. See, because if we didn't understand this, it was important, when this thought came to me to have this discussion about everything being physical, because this is where we start to determine that our evolution has to be threefold. It has to be a physical evolution, it has to be a mental evolution, and it has to be a solar evolution. See, it has to start mentally first in order to move the soul and the physical, right? It has to start mentally first, and what we're opening ourselves up to. And then we will be able to overcome the spiritual side of it. When I say overcome the spiritual side of it, what do I mean? I mean overcome that submental way of thinking that was dictated by the so-called spiritual beings, your humans. Because once we master the physical side of us, we open our minds up to receive that high mental frequency, then we will start to raise ourselves physically, right, and soulfully raise ourselves. You'll start to see more capabilities come out, right? Then we will start to raise ourselves beyond the humans, beyond their spiritual practices, the things that they are in tune with that are making them better people ahead of us. Why do I say that? Because they'll sit up here and they'll write books on chakra points and meditation and all the type of things to connect to a higher source, and we sitting up here buying into that like that has anything to do with us, and we sat here and believed it. So who's ahead? Because if we sit here and we buy into their spiritual talk and spirituality talk and things like that, and we're going into the places where they go to make going to the places where they go to make all kinds of prayers and meditation and rocking back and forth, whatever they do, right? If we're doing that, then that means we are out of tune with who we are. If we have to go through them, right? We are out of tune with who we are. That means that their connection is becoming stronger because they've realized that they are spiritual beings. We have not understood we have not understood what the solar side to this is, who we are. We have not connected to the solar side of ourselves, the inner soul. And it seems like throughout time, especially now, they're trying to convert us from being those solar beings because we were on the path of becoming those solar beings. We were on the path of becoming those solar beings. When we were opened up to teachings like teachings from the Nation of Islam and Dr. Malachi Z. York, and we went through the 70s, and we were talking about soul this and soul that, and we were wearing our hair natural, and we were getting back to the essence of who we are. We wasn't trying to be like them, right? So we were getting back into the essence of who we are. as solar beings, solar intelligent beings. We started gradually coming back into that. Right? So now we losing. Our music changed. We opened up to something totally different. Our physical output was different from the 60s and the 50s and stuff like that. Things started to change with us. That solar frequency started to build up in us. Now they're tearing it down. They're making sure they get rid of all the good physical output of things we do. They're cutting down the music. They're cutting down our people out of the so-called sports arenas and things like that. The thing where we put out our solar, with the things where we put out we had our solar output going in the sports realm, in the all in the physical realm, the sports realm, and the music realm and whatnot. And we're supposed to be putting it out in the mental realm through works, opening our minds up to receive higher intelligence, to put out technology and things like that. But if you notice, they're making our people, or they're opening up and vibrating to our people and transmitting to our people to keep us more simple-minded, disconnecting us from that solar intelligence. And we are voluntarily disconnecting ourselves. Right? We are voluntarily disconnecting ourselves from that solar state. You look at the children now. You look at this generation. They're being disconnected from that solar force, from that solar state. You got our people, right? They're now, the black woman now, our people are turning around. They're listening to white women to sing soul music, which they're about to start calling spirit music. I don't know if you heard about that. They're not going to call it soul music. They're going to call it spirit music. They've been trying to get that going, right? We're looking to them for music when they used to look to us. So someone is dominating. Someone is coming into that, keeping that lunar state going, right? And pushing out the solar state, pushing the spirituality, over the solar intelligence. They're pushing the spirituality over our solar intelligence. And we're allowing this to happen. They got our people, got our women to wear their hair like this, cut down that solar frequency. When y'all put that, the creamy crack in your hair, poison, lye, heat, hot iron, right? They cut down 1/2 of our solar intelligence when they did that, right? When they got you women to dread your hair, pull it downward, they cut down our solar frequency when they did that. Our hair was growing up in the air for a reason. But like I said, something as seen as that, something that seems as simple as that, is very important, because it differentiates getting you black men to cut your hair down low to where you wearing waves because you ashamed of your hair. That's why you black men cut your hair down lower, or you bald it when you still got hair. I can understand you balding your hair, of course, if you going bald, but you bald your hair and you still got hair because you ashamed of yourself. You understand? That's real. All of these are physical things that we're going through. All of these are physical changes. We have to understand that the only way we're going to be able to totally evolve is to take everything with us. Right? Take everything with us. Our physical, our mental, and our solar plexus, all one. None of this stuff is incomplete. None of this stuff is separate. If you have a brain in your head that has a mental force field around it to pull in thoughts, because like I said, your mind and your brain are two different things. Your mind and your brain are two different things. Your mind is the field around, or the electrical field, or the electrical magnetic field around your brain, right, that pulls in thoughts, right, that pulls in messages for you to move, to blink, to do things, to think, to receive. That's what your mind is. It's actually a mind field. It is a magnetic field. It is a magnetic electrified energy field that pulls in messages, frequency, to your brain, right? Your mind is there. Your soul is there. Your solar plex is there in your physical body. So how can you say these things are not physical? Makes no sense, right? How can you say these things are not physical? How can you say these things are separate? When your humans go, when your white man, your East Indian, and your Chinese, and they go and they meditate, you never hear them talking about the separation of their spirit, right, from their physical body. You never hear them talk about that. They're showing you chakra points and things like that, and they meditating and whatnot. So they're showing you a connection with something, a connection with their physical body. So we're supposed to have a solar intelligent connection with something. Our essence, who we are from, and where we're supposed to be going, that almond race, those almond beings. That's who we're supposed to be connecting with. That's real. We are disconnecting ourselves by calling on false gods, calling on false deities, false entities, allowing false spiritual practices to enter in and alter our way of thinking, right? Things that don't even make sense. I want all of you, the so-called spiritual people, I dare you to call in and tell me that spiritual is different than the physical, or that soul is different than the physical, that it's all not physical. Tell me that it's not. Stand on it. Since those who might think I'm wrong or I'm making this up, you tell me, show me where it's not all the same thing. Your physical output in the so-called physical realm that's connected to your soul, that's connected to the essence of who you are, is what you're putting out. Don't tell me that that you are some highest being or some other worldly being, that you're not petty or trivial or things. Your mind's vibrating on a higher thing, and you're doing the same thing as everybody else. Don't tell me you so-called spiritual, or you so-called soulful, or you in tune, but you smoking weed, you smoking cigarettes, you drinking liquor, you tattooing yourself up. You understand? Don't give me that nonsense. You gay, you lesbian, you all these other things. All these things are of this world. All these things are on the submental. So don't give me this nonsense that you are on a higher level mentally. Because if you are participating in these things physically, then you are the same mentally as well. You're just talking. Because your mind dictates what you do physically. Your mind and your soul dictate what you do physically. It's all one output, right? But you can't get people to accept that. See, when it gets real like this, when it gets real and say you are responsible for everything you do, because even in religion they say, for the things you do in the physical world, then they say all the things you did in the physical world, your soul will be punished. Now, if your soul was supposed to be different or whatever from your physical body, then why would your soul be punished? Meaning the essence of you in that higher state would be punished. Because it's all the same thing. You're going to pay for whatever you do in the physical realm, in this realm here, you're going to pay for it in the so-called spiritual realm, the so-called soulful realm. All of these realms in which you think are higher and not physical, you're going to pay for them in these realms because they are all one and the same. They're all linked. They're all interlocking. There is no world where, okay, I did this over here, but I'm going to be on a higher level. I did what I did over here, but I'm going to be on a higher level. It's all interlocking. You're traveling through these states, like I said. So the time now is to correct yourself right now. If you're going to correct yourself, the time is to do it right now. I'm going to take a call. 423. 423.
Yeah, I just want to say good teacher, man. You really, I knew after last week that you was going to really up it up this week. That's all I want to say, man. My mom is sitting here and she listening, and she said, that man is intelligent. That's what she said. She normally said that about Obama or somebody, that's really out there, but she actually said that about you today, just now. So I just want to say good teaching. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to take that comment. Thank you, brother. And I'm going to play some music. What do I want to play? I want to play an old one from Karen Willer, Living in the Light. We'll be right even the whole idea of the universe and string theory. I was thinking about today. I don't know if those of you know what string theory is. This is more theories from your scientists, your white scientists, where they say everything is connected through in the universe through a string, system of strings and invisible strings and wires and things like that. Everything is connected that way through strings, like something on the string theory. But in reality, when they're describing it, what they're actually describing is the makeup of a radio, right? Where your stars look like little transmitters, and your string that they're talking about would be like wires, right? And it'll all be wired up and sending messages and whatnot, like a receiver board, to send like a radio. So that's not far fetched at all, right? But they didn't see these wires, but they acknowledge that there are things that can't be seen, right? Now, this is so funny because they'll sit up here and they'll say, "Oh, Nibiru doesn't exist," and that's a hoax, and there's no Nibiru in this day and time. And I'm like, well, if these people say they saw it, because I had to keep getting on them, I'm like, if they're saying that, then these people, broke down Nibiru and talked about it, and I'm like, where are they getting this from? Why would they make that up? Why would they lie and make that up? Nobody's just going to come out of their mind with that. They had to obviously see something or come in tune or come in contact with something. Stories, like I said, there's no such thing as stories that just come from somebody's imagination. They have to come from some place. They had to have context. Even if people change the names, take bits and pieces and fragments of it, they had to have some validity somewhere. And the descriptions were perfect. You weren't there to see what these people saw, so how can you say it's not real and it's a hoax? They're talking about a moving planet. And the problem with our people is that we take the word of these people who call themselves scientists, learned men, we take their words as gospel. We take their words as fact. And they're nothing more than theories. And they let you know that. They're nothing more than guesses and theories. That don't even make sense. That's supposed to be the measuring stick in how you judge what it is they're saying. You're supposed to logically ask the question, well, 2 and 2 don't add up. I mean, 1 plus 1 is supposed to be 2 all the time. 2 plus 2 is supposed to be 4 all the time. If it don't add up logically, you're supposed to be able to ask the question logically in a common sense form of intelligence, then you'll know whether they're lying to you, whether they're making things up, whether they're trying to get you away from knowing something, distract you. You understand that? We don't ask the questions, and if we don't ask the questions, we don't use what is available to us, some of us anyway, which is chosen sense. We don't use that so-called common sense, which is really chosen sense, to ask these questions, then we'll just believe anything. We'll sit here for the next 50 or 100 years, keep believing whatever these people tell us. And they keep telling us that they do all these scientific experiments when, you really don't know if they did. They just telling you that. They lie to you all the time. They tell lies. If you said something, don't you think they would try to logically hold it up to see if it made sense? No, they're going to try to get it themselves, and they're going to their minds are going to be inquisitive enough to get it themselves. Our people don't do that. Whatever these people say, we'll sit up and stand on it. Don't have to make sense. We'll just sit up and stand on it. We don't do any research, anything ourselves. We don't think ourselves. We just accept it. Right? This is what alters us or keeps us at a low point, dense-wise. This keeps us dense mentally. Right? This keeps ideas from penetrating our heads. A lot of us got, that terminology where it said a lot of our people got rock heads. A lot of these people are blockheads. I say you blockheads because nothing can penetrate your head. Thoughts cannot penetrate your head. They cannot get into your mind because your mind has become dense. You have not chosen to open your mind to receive anything. You are closed-minded. So therefore, you become dense. And if you become dense, you cannot move forward. This is not abstract or allegorical symbolism I'm giving here. This is fact that once you close your mind to something, you become dense to it. Right? You become dense. This is why people are the way they are right now. You know, simple-minded, simplistic people, people who are basically waiting for somebody to take care of them. Yeah, people that are sitting around, just not doing anything to alter the intelligence of this world. Right? People who are in tune, right? Who are in tune with who they are the people that can alter the state of the world. When you're not in tune with who you are, you won't be able to do anything. See, the human beings, your elite, your Asians, your Caucasians, and your East Indians who are Asian as well, they are in tune with who they are. They're in tune with their chakra system and their spirituality. They're in tune with it. Right? This is why they can do what they do. They're in tune with themselves on some level. That's why they rule the world. They're in tune with their higher self within themselves, as high as it can get anyway. They're in tune with that spiritual state. They understand it all works in a physical rotation with them. They get that about themselves. We don't know how we work. We think we work the way they work. You understand? We think we're spiritual beings. We don't understand the workings of ourselves. Because we don't understand the workings of ourselves, that's why we are stagnant right now. And it's that I had to come out and tell our people that we weren't human. And we still got people that, of course, ain't going to accept it. Of course. Even with all the things you see, our hair, our skin, everything being different from everybody else on the planet, they still not going to accept that we're not part of the human race, that we're a totally different species. They're not going to accept that we don't have chakra points or spirits or anything, that we're solar beings. They're not going to accept that. They're going to still keep holding on to this African thing. They're going to still keep holding on to this chakra point and spirituality and and abstract gods and and that we human. They're going to still keep holding on to that. Dense people. Dense. People who are unable to receive intelligence to advance and evolve. Dense people. Dense people, after a while, are dead people. Well, mentally dead already and physically dead will follow. Dense people are dead people. That's real. These people are constantly. I'll show you something that your white people. I see this all over, and I'm starting to see this in droves now. Everybody's running, right? Your white man, your Mexicans, your East Indians. Everybody's jogging now. There's something with that. Everybody's jogging. Everybody's running. I went out, I saw Mexicans and white people, all of them jogging down the street like in a little, I don't think it was any marathon. They was just all running together, the East, and they're all jogging. The black man, the black woman, they lazy as hell, eating, just getting fat, stupid, and stuffed. Right? They realize that running obviously helps their spiritual. It helps the flow of that water in their brain, the buoyancy in that water in their brain and in their body. It helps them. Exercise, they tell you, is a big part of your spiritual growth. This is what they say. Right? This is what they say. It is a big part of their spiritual growth. They understand that. They understand it's a big part of our spiritual growth. Should I say their spiritual growth? But what is a part of our solar intellectual growth? What can be a big part of our solar intellectual growth? This is what we should be looking for. Not meditation. Not sitting still. We sit still enough. Don't black people sit still enough? They run just like generators run. We're supposed to be running. We're supposed to be moving. Right? We're supposed to be running and moving. We're supposed to be moving like generators. We're not supposed to be sitting still, meditating. We're supposed to be running like generators. Receiving, closing our mind off to the things of the past and opening ourselves up to the intelligence of this new future. That's what we're supposed to be doing. They're doing it. They're doing it. They're doing it, like I said, and they're getting into that meditation and things like that, and they're eating each other's food. You notice the white man, he brought over the sushi and the things like that. They're getting back into their raw essence when they were raw food eaters, right? They're getting back into the raw essence of who they are. And we're doing everything backwards because we don't know who we are. We're trying to follow their way. That's why we eating sushi and eat raw fish and talking about spirituality and stuff like that. That has nothing to do with us. That has nothing to do with us. It is helping nothing in our evolution. You know, it is giving rise to them as a revolutionary group of people, right? It is doing nothing in our evolution. We have been told that we should revolve in this thing. And what are we doing? We're going right back to Africa. We're going back to Egypt. We're going right back in a circle. We're moving like spirit beings instead of solar intelligent ones. I'm going to say it again. We're moving like spirit beings instead of solar intelligent beings. We're moving like humans instead of almond beings. We're moving in circles again instead of in straight lines, because we refuse to let go of the things of the past. We refuse to understand that if we are saying that we are altered mentally, we're supposed to be altered physically and thus soulfully altered forever. These three stages, these electrified states, these electrized cities are supposed to open us up to the electricity of another stage, a fourth state, where the mental, where the soul state and the physical state become stronger. In each dimension that we cross into, our capabilities are supposed to start getting stronger. Mentally, physically, and soulfully getting stronger. We're supposed to take those three states of who we are, those three states, those three makeups of what we are into different states, right? Those states into higher states, right? But are we doing it, right? This was supposed to be, when they talk about the electricity state, this was supposed to be the state or the three-dimensional state where we mastered. We're supposed to go through mastering who we are mentally, physically, and soulfully, mastering who we are in one time frame, in one physical form. We're supposed to go into mastering that. All this is supposed to be mastered in physical form. So we're supposed to be working out. We're supposed to be eating right. We're supposed to be running. We're supposed to be opening our minds up and throwing off the new things. Off the old ways, the religion, the philosophy, and all the other old ways, the slave mentality, the calling ourselves black people, the African. We're supposed to be throwing all that away. We're supposed to be running physically, cleaning out our mind, and soulfully connecting with each other. What I call collectricity, which is a book I'll be coming out with, Collectricity, meaning the collective solar force of a people coming together in one form in the state of mental. Collectricity. That is how we strengthen the solar force as we come together as one soul race, soul beings. This is real. All of it is based on one order. Those of our people who are still trying to promote confusion, like I said, they are out of touch and they are out of tune. Get away from these people. If you notice, these are the same people who are still abusing their body. They still talking about vegetarianism and all this, and they still smoking weed. They drinking liquor. They going to conscious meetings. They talking Africa. They talking Egypt. They talking all the things that are keeping our people in a state of confusion. Instead of us lining up, being able to line up soulfully, mentally, and physically, lining up in that dense state, right? So that we, as those people who are lining up in this electrified state, because that's what's going to cut on that frequency once everything is lined up Once our soul, our physical, and our mental are lined up, that's going to cut on that light and start to make that connection. Once we cleaning ourselves up and doing the right things, then we're going to start to see the power happening in our people. I cleaned you brothers' faces like electrified beings, because electrified beings don't wear facial hair. Electrified women don't wear hot pressed permed hair. They don't wear their hair downward. Collectricity, the collection or the collective of solar intelligent beings into one unimental force. One unimental force. We're going to talk about that this Sunday. The unimental force. We're going to go into that more. This Sunday, December 16th, at the Supermen, Superwomen Project, we're going to talk about collectricity, the collective, building the solar force or the solar intelligent force, correcting ourselves. We're going to talk about that in great detail because it's about making a better people. It's about making a better people. It's not about blowing minds. It's about blowing the old ways out of the water. Getting rid of the old ways. It's not about blowing minds, because you see, as I stopped saying I'm going to stop blowing minds and whatnot, and I started making it about changing the people and bettering the people, a lot of the so-called Negroes that sit up here and talked all this bright race crap, once they got a reality check, they didn't want to be around no more. They took down certain sites. They didn't want to be associated with me no more because people come around you looking for handouts, looking to exploit things, coming with their old nigger ways, right? And you don't do that for them. You don't feed them. You don't cater to their submental ways. And, of course, they turn on you. They was never with you in the first place, right? As I said, as this thing gets realer, when it starts talking about altering the people, really changing it, because, black folks don't like to change. When it comes to altering the people and bringing out the bright race, the black race is going to show themselves, those who come in amongst us talking about they the bright ones, they're going to show themselves for who they truly are. It's already done started. It's already done started. See? Already done started. Don't take people long to show who show them true selves once the alteration starts to take place. Once you start altering, once you start raising the frequency and the vibration, it's going to drive certain people out of the room. It's going to drive certain people out of the room. Once you start raising the vibration and the frequency, once you start trying to push that connection forward, when you start altering the people, then it's going to make certain people leave. Same thing with like what Elijah Muhammad did, where he was strict on those codes and whatnot. And, the brothers, couldn't do this, couldn't do that, had to be clean all the time, had to do this, do that. More you start doing that, you have certain people that complied. And you have certain people that was, oh, man, I ain't doing it. And they left because they wanted to go back into that lower state. They wanted to go, like I said, water seeks its level. They wanted to go where their soul and where their physical and where their mental took them, and that is back to the bottom. You understand? They wanted to go back to the bottom with it because they never left there. It was a nice little ride. You understand? A lot of people, they're going to ride with us. But then as we start to really make that move collectively, once that collectricity sets in, that collective power sets in, you understand, they're going to leave. That's why people say, oh, brother, are you afraid of, spies and people that's coming amongst you and stuff like that? I said, no, I'm not worried about people that's coming amongst us. First of all, it's no secret what we're doing. It's not a secret. This is about an evolution of a people. You understand? It's not a secret. I said the people who don't belong here, they're going to leave anyway. I ain't got to say nothing. I'm going to just do what I've been doing, teaching the knowledge of intellect to the bright race. You understand? They're going to leave anyway. They're not going to want to be here as we start boosting this frequency, because it's going to come out. You can't be here and be phony. You're going to want to leave. And the people that's supposed to come, they're going to come. They're going to draw to this. You understand? They're going to draw to this. They're going to come from wherever they at. You understand? They're not going to worry about the distance. They're going to come. They're going to have to be here. They're going to come here. They're going to want to become members. They're going to want to be entered in. That's going to be who it's for. For the people, like I said, who this is not for, they're going to leave. I bear witness to that. December 16th, this Sunday, December 16th, is the final Supermen, Superwomen project of the year. We start back. We'll do this on December 16th. We'll start back in January. Totally different focus, people. Totally different. We're going to build our state. We're going to build our state. We're going to clean our brothers up, clean their faces off. We ain't trying to look like the Negroes out here with beards all over. We trying to do a sharp contrast from these Negroes who walk around here with beards all over their face doing the Rick Ross look and hair, mustaches and all that. We cleaning ourselves up. We're not trying to look prehistoric. We're trying to look futuristic. No more prehistoric. No more the Muhammad look and the Arab look. No, we ain't trying to look prehistoric. We're not trying to look past tense, like it's like past tense people. We're trying to look futuristic. You understand? And we're going to get more and more futuristic as time goes on. That's the beautiful thing about it. Opening ourselves up to these code of conduct, because we're not holding ourselves by the same principles as the black race. Understand? We're not holding ourselves by the same principles as the black race. Mm-hmm. We are moving on. There is nowhere else for us to go. The bright race, there is no place else for us to go. We can't go back in Egypt. We can't go back staring at ruins and monuments, things about people who came and died and all that. That's why I said to the brother, I said, man, interested in Egypt and all that. That's a bunch of ruins. We're not going backwards. We're going forward. Amen has nothing to do with Egypt. You understand? He came, showed them people what to do, sent his messengers to show them people how to build, and that was it. They gone. Now they looking to move in and get into the minds of the people who are moving into the future. Now some people sitting around here trying to talk about building pyramids and recreating pyramids. Those are the mentally dead people, Egyptology Negroes and these Nubian Negroes. They mentally dead, man. It's about the new world coming, man, the future world. Do you understand? And for those people who, they can't get in tune with that, it's not for you. It's not for you. Mm-hmm. So, we're going to play a little bit of music. I'm winding down. We're toward the last 31 minutes of this broadcast. This broadcast is brought to you by Bright Beverage Company, by the Bright Beverage Company, my little small beverage company, Bright. Alkaline water, alkaline iced tea, and we're going to have alkaline fruit punch in a minute. It's coming. Very tasty beverages, healthy beverages, balancing out the acid in your body. We got the website coming in a minute, so we try and do our thing here to make these beverages affordable for our people, and also to get them thinking straight. We got to, alter the physical of our people as well as the mental, because it would have been easy for me to sit up here and talk about spirituality and all this other stuff, and you as long as you talk about things that don't change people's lives, you could get a bunch of people. As long as you talk about things where people could still do what they was doing, they could still smoke weed, they could still smoke cigarettes, they could still drink liquor, they could still engage in whatever deviant sexual practices they was participating in. As long as as long as you talk like that, as long as you don't bother them on that submental state, and you just keep talking the spirituality stuff and the fantasy island crap. As long as you do that, then you can get a lot of people following you. No problem. The minute you start talking about people changing and they can't do this no more, and they can't do that no more, and we moving like this, they don't want to. They're not trying to hear you. They'll listen to you from afar. They'll be, oh yeah, I like what that brother's saying, but I just can't see myself doing that though. I can't see myself cleaning my face off and taking braids and the dreads out of my hair and looking like a real man, or the sisters. They can't say themselves doing that. They don't want to be part of the collective. But like I tell you people all the time, I'm like, it don't matter. You can listen to me all you want to. You can listen to my voice, listen to my words. Oh, brother, that's deep, that's heavy. Or it don't mean nothing. You're not impressing me. If you're not part of the collective, if you're not part of this collectricity that's coming together, if you're not part of the collective, then it don't mean nothing. My words mean nothing to you. It's nice that you like what I'm saying, but it really don't mean nothing. It's not going to help you. What are you going to do with it? Go and repeat it? Act like you said it? Act like it's so deep that you had your mind blown? Like I said, that is the sign of a mentally dead person. Because if you're not altering yourself physically, then you're mentally dead. If this doesn't inspire you to alter yourself and come amongst the collective, then you're mentally dead. Right? That's real. So, what do I want to play? I need me a little break. Let me see. All right. Little Blue 6. We'll be right back. My grandmother, Annie Marie Hunter, who passed away on January 20th of this year, 2012, she passed away. She was a walking generator. I was just thinking about her. Brother had texted me, talking about, being the generator and moving and stuff like, my grandmother, up to 89, she would not sit down. She couldn't get around. That's why she had an accident when she fell. She was like a generator. She constantly walked and constantly was moving in motion. And when she was in motion like that, and we didn't think about that. She always liked to move around. She didn't like to sit still. She was always moving. She didn't like to sit still. She would be always walking somewhere, doing something. And I'm inheriting that from her. I don't really like to sit still and not doing it. I like to be moving, doing something, being busy. She kept her memory right up to the end. I mean, didn't suffer from no Alzheimer's. She was clear as a bell, remembered everybody's birthdays, things in the past, because she was always moving. And she hated when she, the last years of her life when she couldn't move as good anymore, and she still wouldn't sit down. She wanted to get up and move. She wanted to clean. She wanted to be useful. She wanted to do something, And that's how she ended up having an accident, falling and dying, and injuring herself fatally, But I say all that to, speak to the fact that, movement is important. Movement is important in our evolution. Exercise, movement. Not sitting still, not just eating, not consuming, and sitting around meditating and praying and stuff. We need to get out and be running and moving. Like I said, every time I turn around, I see your East Indians, your white people. Everybody's jogging, everybody's running, everybody's moving. I ran on my treadmill today for 30 minutes just to get my blood going. Get that movement of the blood going back and forth to the brain, because without that, you can get things like, you open yourself up to things like Alzheimer's and all kinds of, mental disorders where you're not getting blood flow or movement to the brain like that. Your brain has to have blood flow to it going back and forth. And it has to have, like I said, that those platelets in the blood have to be moving toward the brain in order to pull in and pull in those that frequency, those thoughts. There's a disease called sundowner's disease, right? Now, you have certain people that have this. This is a disease where, if people who are deprived of sunlight, they will go into a state of dementia, right? What dementia is? Dementia is where you don't remember your name, you don't remember where you are. It's like you have to receive that light from the sun in order to function mentally. So that goes on to show you what I was saying about how messages are in that light, and in those messages dictate your movement, dictate your thinking, dictate your mindset. How what you're gonna do. If you don't have that intelligence, that solar intelligence coming through those solar rays on the planet, you're gonna be off mentally. You're gonna be off. That's the sundowner's disease. Look it up, sundowner's disease. All right. A lot of people. You have people, all types of people that suffer from this. I know personally, when the sun is down, my energy is off. I mean, I can feel it. I feel drained. When it rains, I can feel my body. It's like something pulling my body down. I have like no energy. It was like today. But when the sun is up, it's like I'm up. So that story of Superman is real, about people who draw their energy, literally draw their energy from the sun. I happen to be one of them. I know I draw my energy from the sun. I can't sit still when the sun is shining. And when it rains like that, when that water, and that lead in the water, all kind of, when it's that that Florida rain like that, I just, I gotta sleep. It puts me in a deep sleep. It just takes and zaps my energy. Right. So this is like shows me that if I'm not tuned in on all levels, mentally, physically, and soulfully tuned in, if everything's not working in unison with me, then I'm gonna be off. If I'm not exercising, if I'm letting myself get out of shape and get fat and things like that, and not carrying my diet like that, then I'm gonna be off mentally and soulfully off. This is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he tried to stress the diet of the people, because he understood that the diet dictates what you're doing to yourself physically. It's going to dictate how your mental output and how you carry yourself. You see Negroes that eat bad, or just anybody that eat bad, your poor white trash, the people that eat bad, you see their thoughts are bad, their ideas are bad, that when their bodies are overweight and stuff like that, they eat every and anything. Physically, their minds are thrown off. Their minds are thrown off when they put in garbage in their body. It throws off your decision making, everything. I told the sister, she talking about working out and getting herself together and working out. I'm like, yeah, well, okay, but are you going to change your diet? It don't matter if you work out. If you're not going to change your diet, then it don't matter. You can work out all you want to, run all up and down all you want to. If you want to still eat the same things, you want to still eating pork and beef and all kinds of slow land animals, because we're not supposed to be eating those slow land animals. Those animals that are roaming the earth, like your pigs and your cows, that's supposed to be for the animals, the field animals that kill them and eat them. That's their food, and the human food. That's not our food. The fish were put here for us to eat. The reptilians, some of the reptilian life form, like the fish and your birds, they were put here for us to eat. And your green vegetables, those were put here for us to eat, not your land animals. You see our people, how they are when they eat beef and pork. You never notice these Negroes down south, they really big and they fat and they slow. They move like pigs and cows. But that's what happens when you eat big, slow animals. You start to take on the spirit of those big, slow animals. You start to move slow. You start to think slow. Right? That happens with our people. And then they eventually die. They start to, like I said, they're not moving. They're moving like slow animals. Right? This is real, because we was supposed to take in those animals for consumption. They weren't for our consumption, but we follow everything. We're supposed to carry a light diet. We're supposed to eat small foods, small reptiles, like your birds and your fish. You understand? Not walking land animals, because we can't digest it. That weighs heavily on our minds. After a while, it weighs heavily on our bodies, first of all, and our mental state, because when that blood is all contaminated with that beef and that pork and all those heavy land animals, then it slows up the blood flow to the brain. And once the blood flow to the brain is slowed up, it bothers the reception of thoughts. Even though the mind might be pulling in on a certain frequency level, it'll slow the reception to the brain, because the blood is not flowing to the brain fast enough. Because, like I said, now your body is starting to take on the spirit or the essence of that slow, dumb animal. Like I said, these Negroes today who eat beef and pork, you look at them down south and up here, they live in proof. They live in proof of what I'm saying. This is all meant to slow you down. Everything is meant to slow down your intelligence in this atmosphere. I said that. People focus on, Politics. Don't focus on the politics. Don't focus on all this other stuff that goes on here. Focus on speeding up your intelligence, eating the right foods, speeding up your intelligence. Strengthening your solar force by coming together collectively in that solar intelligent group. That's what you should be focusing on. Nothing else. Nothing else matters. The money don't matter. The politics don't matter. None of that matters. You're going to get that regardless. Because like I said, our people sit up here talking about they focusing on money, and our people ain't doing nothing but, like I said, paying bills and waiting to die. So we might as well come together collectively as a community anyway. But you can't tell our people nothing. Their mind is in the gutter because they physically, mentally, and soulfully destroyed. 3 in 1. They're destroyed people. They are soulfully destroyed people. So let me answer these questions, and then we're going to get out of here. December 16th, as I said, Supermen, Superwomen Project. Supermen, Superwomen Project, December 16th, Sunday, December 16th. For those of you who are in the New York City area or in the tri-state area, or you just want to come out and visit us, you can come out. Feel free. Let me answer these questions. Okay. I'm supposed to have this up here. Just a second. There we go.
Blog Talk Radio.
We got some back feed. How can soul, spirit, and the mind be physical? Because they work together with the physical and whatnot. Your soul and your spirit, even though you said the spirit is in the human race, works with them physically, right? And the soul works with you physically from your output and what you put out, whether you're dancing, whether you're singing, whether you're running fast, whether you're doing anything athletic, whether you're bringing out some technology. These things come through you mentally and soulfully. It comes out physically, so they all work in unison, okay? So it's all a physical state, just denser forms of it. Why was it taught that they were different? It was taught that they were different because people didn't understand that they were all one state, one physical state, right? There's no such thing as things beyond the physical. Everything is physical because you have to describe things physically in order to understand them. And something has to take place physically in order for you to see it and have an image of it or have an imagination for it. You have to have an image of it. So there is nothing that is beyond the physical. It's all physical, just different states of it. People just didn't understand that. What is the spirit, soul, and the mind? The spirit is what is the artificial energy force of your human race, and it is driven by water and air, right? Vapor, steam. It is driven that way. Same way you got steam engines on trains and things like that. This is how your humans are driven. And your soul is fire-based, and it's fire-based and it's light-based. And it is how we are powered, the so-called black race, as solar beings, right? That fire that's burning in our solar plex in our chest, right? We're powered by that. And your mind is what receives thoughts that's coming from the mental state, or whether if you're vibrating on a lower state, your submental state, right? Can spiritual beings have souls? No, they cannot. Spiritual beings do not have souls. They have artificial souls. That's what your spirit is an artificial form of a soul. And it moves through your so-called chakra points or your lunar plex, right? Because how the chakra points are set up, they're set up like a plex, meaning a stacked order or structure. That's a plex or a complex. That's your lunar plex, in which water moves back and forth through that plex, that's those chakra points in a form of energy. So that lunar plex that's set up as chakra points, that energy that's moving back and forth, that is your spirit in your humans. All right? What does spiritual really mean to the human race? That is their practices and getting in tune with that force that moves through their chakra points. getting in tune with those higher points of self. We don't have those points. Those are artificial energy points that are stacked in the human race. We don't have that stack. We have a solar plex. We have a full solar operating solar system within our body. We don't have a lunar plex or chakra points. But that's the how spiritual power or spiritual essence of a person. We have a solar essence. Totally different. One's based on water, the other's based on fire and light. One's based on water and air, spirit. The other one's based on fire and light, soul. Okay. Let me see. What does this mean to the evolution of the Amun race? This knowledge of Mentellect and what I'm teaching means the evolution of our people, because we have to first have an understanding of who we are in order to move forward as a new people. As a mental race of people, one who are receivers. We have to receive physically, mentally, and soulfully in order to get full vibrating thoughts, full pictures, clear, strong clarity. All right? So that's it. Join us Wednesday night. Don't quite know what the topic. I never know what the topic's going to be. I think it's going to be why the double standard with the sexes. Why men who sleep with multiple women are not considered to be whorish, whereas women who sleep with multiple men are. We're going to do the double standard on the sexuality, and we're going to break that down deeper into why that dynamic does exist. Wednesday. And like I said, join us Sunday, December 16th. I'll be speaking at the Supermen, Superwomen Project at 1368 Fulton Street. Those of you who are in the tri-state area, if you in New Jersey, Connecticut, come on out. Brooklyn, wherever you are in New York City, come on out. I'll be speaking Sunday, December 16th at the Bed-Stuy Restoration Plaza, 1368 Fulton Street, Brooklyn, New York. You can give us a call for information at 718-510-3769 or 347-465-3769. Please only call if you're interested in coming to the Supermen, Superwomen Project. Do not call me with any questions or any of my people with any questions. Thank you. It's not what this is for. So we're about to get out of here. What do I want to play? That's what I want to play. I want to play. Now I'll play this. Groove Theory of Mel LaRue. Keep trying. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkarayzz. This has been State of Mental Radio. Good.
It's the Republic of Mentellect, rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of Mentellect, black race to the white race. If it's hell, and then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that we can do. We the Republic of